Nerd gets kidnapped and forced to take part in a battle royale game, but he turns out to have the strongest SS rank abilities. Akira is a high school student with only two things in the entire world that he loves. The first is games, and the second is candy. His room is messier than my life, and he is a total loser without a girlfriend or friends. This does not bother him anyway, because his games are his #1 priority. He keeps playing Tetris on the way to school too, and as he is waiting for the light to turn green, a menacing giant man wrapped in bandages suddenly shows up in front of him. He stares at Akira with bloodshot eyes and hits away at a truck that blocks his view. The mummy bastard rushes towards Akira and attacks him within 5 seconds of their eyes meeting. Akira dodges the attack somehow, but luckily there is a bicycle near him, and he uses it to flee. However, the mummy is targeting just him, and he can easily keep up with his speed. Akira panics, wondering what he should do, when he suddenly realizes that this condition is exactly like a game. He will lose if the mummy bastard catches him, and he just needs to stop him to win the game. He first goes to an abandoned building to gain a geographic advantage. The building is old and crumbly, and the big brute has difficulty walking through the floor that breaks under his weight. Suddenly, the mummy begins leaping over the collapsed floor like a frog, and Akira decides to treat this as a horror survival game. He finishes his preparations to deal with the mummy soon and lures him to the rooftop. There, he had already laid out a trap, and the mummy gets caught in it. Through a simple mechanism, the giant overhead water tank falls on the mummy, and Akira believes that he has won. However, the mummy is still alive, and he leaps at him next. Akira uses his momentum to pierce his chest with a steel pipe, letting blood spray out everywhere. He is happy that he won when suddenly a cat girl in a suit appears behind him and congratulates him for killing her pet and surviving. Akira is not able to even register her in his mind, and the girl tells him that he did well earlier, but this is an unwinnable fight for him. 5 seconds pass since they met, and the girl blows off Akira's arm and side without warning. He falls to the ground, saying that if this was an unwinnable fight, then it means that this is a turning point in the game. He is profusely bleeding but believes that as long as he has not gotten a game over, he can still win next time. The cat girl tells him that he is right and that the fun is just beginning. She walks away with that, and when Akira opens his eyes again, he finds himself in a strange hall with many other people. He wonders what is happening as he notices that he has been handcuffed and the injury he received earlier isn't even there. Just then, the cat girl performer makes a dazzling entrance on the stage. She introduces herself as Mion, their navigator, and then tells everyone that they have been selected to take part in a grand project. She declares that all of them are pronounced dead in the real world, and everyone is shocked. She is about to explain more when a rude guy climbs on the stage and tells her to send him home this instant. Mion just smiles and thanks him for his assistance before she suddenly blows a hole through his body. Her hand has been turned into a cannon, and she cheerfully explains to the panicked crowd that this is her special ability. Everyone here has also been given some sort of ability, which they will use to take part in the project. Mion then explains that their handcuffs stop the use of their abilities, and when the red light on them turns green, they will unlock in 5 seconds, and they can use their abilities then. The next rule is that killing and harming others are allowed. Mion asks if anyone has any questions, approaching Akira first. She then asks a nerdy girl the same thing, and then moves to a delinquent. She tells everyone to feel free to ask questions, and a big, burly guy named Shin asks her about this place and the project she is talking about. Mion says that she cannot answer those questions, so Shin asks her why she killed the man earlier. Mion says that she is a bad person who likes killing people, but the redhead OnlyFans model believes that she had planned to kill that person in advance to show an example to everyone. Mion admits that she is smart, and she turns to the next person. This time, a girl named Yuri asks her why she chose them specifically. Mion just says that they were all selected at random, and the girl finds it hard to believe. Just then, Mion's assistant comes there to say that the briefing session is over and everyone will be led to their rooms now, where they can take time to relax and try out their abilities. Akira enters his room, thinking that this really seems like a game. He finds a letter on the table along with a box of candies. The letter tells him that the room has all the daily items and things they can use their abilities on. There is also a separate, sealed letter that reveals details about their abilities. Akira opens the sealed letter, and the truth about his ability stuns him. He wonders how he can even use his ability, but then gets sidetracked by the candies. Suddenly, the room rattles, and Akira realizes that someone else is using their abilities. He thinks about the opponents he can face in the battle and figures out that, according to Mion's instructions earlier, they are free to kill each other. Soon, the first program begins, which is one-on-one duels between the participants. Akira enters a classroom, where he finds the delinquent boy Madoka waiting for him. Madoka tells him to give up as soon as the fight starts if he doesn't want to be severely hurt by his dangerous ability. Akira refuses, saying that he won't back away from a game. Their handcuffs turn green, and after 5 seconds, they can use their abilities. Madoka rushes towards Akira, and the stick in his hand transforms into a sword, using which he cleanly slices off the blackboard and furniture. Akira keeps throwing the desks at him to distract him, and mixes a duster in between, creating a smokescreen that allows him to run away. Madoka follows him inside a dark lab, and Akira throws a lamp at him to distract him, and then uses a makeshift blowtorch to take him by surprise. However, Madoka manages to disarm him and begins thrashing the room while searching for him. He believes that Akira is hiding because his ability might be unhelpful in battle, but he steps up to say that it is the exact opposite. He explains that his ability is too dangerous, which is why he doesn't want to use it. Madoka refuses to believe him and charges at him recklessly. Akira suddenly takes out his hand from his pocket, revealing a feather as he says that his ability to turn his hand into a cannon. Madoka suddenly recalls what Mion did with that ability earlier and how there were feathers involved. In the moment he hesitates, Akira turns his hand into a cannon and shoots him away. Madoka is injured and slammed against the wall, and the sword turns back into a wooden stick as it leaves his hand. Akira points his cannon at him, asking him to surrender, and Madoka decides to give up. Mion was watching this from the control room, and she applauds Akira, who is definitely her favorite contender. Her assistant asks her why Akira used his cannon so late, and she reveals that his ability is not to turn his hand into a cannon. Mion says that what Akira did earlier was just an illusion, and he used her for it. Earlier, when Akira opened the letter containing details of his ability, he found that it was called sophism. Basically, his ability is whatever the other person thinks it is. That is why he purposefully dragged out the battle against Madoka and led him into a situation where he would believe the lie that his ability is canon. Akira leaves the test room after that, escorted by 2 guards. He keeps walking ahead single-mindedly, thinking about how else he can use his ability, and he doesn't even notice that Yuri kept staring at him as she passed him by. The next challenger is Yuri, who is a high school student too, who hates random coincidences. Her mom had her with a random guy by coincidence, and she blamed her for ruining her life. The alcoholic mom barely took care of her and kept bringing random men from the bar as her boyfriends. The latest men even had a daughter, and Yuri's mom expected her to take care of the girl. Yuri didn't want that at first, but when she found that the girl was a victim of neglect and abuse, she decided to act like her older sister. However, she was dealing with enough problems on her own. In the past, she had helped a bullied boy, but by random bad luck, he turned out to be a creepy stalker. The day before she ended up in the project, she accidentally saw the stalker trying to jump off a tall building. She could not stop herself from running up to the building to save him, but he took it as a divine sign that they were connected by fate. Yuri climbed on to the other side of the railing to rescue him, but the stalker was a total nutjob, and he simply grabbed her arm and jumped down the building, dragging her along. That was how she died in the real world and ended up in the project. Yuri sees all this in a nightmare and wakes up screaming. She was hoping that when the dream ends, she will be back at home, but she is disappointed to find herself in this strange room. She tries kicking open the door to her room, claiming that it is not even funny that she was selected to take part in this bizarre project randomly. She wants to go home to help her new stepsister, but there seems to be no way to do that. She falls on her bed, and then suddenly realizes that she has an ability too. She opens the letter to figure out her ability and hits the wall with it, creating the tremors that shook Akira's room earlier. Yuri is amazed by her power, and she thinks that it may help her get out of this place by breaking the door. However, the door is sturdier than she imagined, and she fails to break it. Soon, her partner for the one-on-one duel is decided, and she finds that it is a buff, ugly bastard straight out of an NTR manga. He ain't an ugly bastard just by looks, and he can tell that Yuri is a virgin just by sniffing her from 10 feet away, because that is the ability he received. He begins approaching Yuri, and the countdown reaches 0. Just as their cuffs are removed, Yuri lands a solid roundhouse kick to the ugly bastard's face. The joke's on her because he likes it, and the disgust and hatred Yuri feels seeing his reaction only strengthens him. He even takes off his pants to creep her out even more, and then breathes in the feelings of disgust, fear and shame being released by her to grow stronger. He rushes towards Yuri and manages to place her in a chokehold, talking about his fetishes involving high school students. He says that it was such a great coincidence that he got to face a high school girl in the first round, But that rubs Yuri the wrong way. She has enough of coincidences ruining her life and ugly bastards doing what they please. She grabs the man's hand and crushes it with brute force, causing him to scream and wail. She then hits the ground to kick up some dust, and then moves behind the ugly bastard to knock him out with a barrage of powerful attacks. This was thanks to her ability to Demon God that allowed her to increase all her physical abilities by 5 times. Soon after that, Akira wakes up with a security guard at his door, who tells him that it is time for his next program. He is sent into a room where Yuri, Shin, Madoka, and Monkey Face are waiting for him. Just as Akira enters, Mion explains that the second round will be a 5-on-5 team battle, and it will start in 2 hours. That is all for the explanations, and no one is satisfied with it. Akira thinks that if they have to work as a team, they must reveal their abilities to each other. Since Madoka has seen him use the cannon, he must surely believe that his ability is the same. However, Akira wonders if he should reveal his true ability for the sake of the team. Suddenly, Mr. Monkey Face takes charge of the room. He introduces himself as Sawa and shows that his ability is to create a rope from a button. Yuri is grossly disappointed in him and proudly reveals her ability. Madoka does the same, and Sawa is jealous of them both. He then asks the gym bro Shin about his ability, and he replies that he can apparently become invincible for 2 seconds, but he doesn't plan to use this ability that was planted in his body without his permission. However, he is a pro wrestler and knows how to fight. It is Akira's turn next, and he decides to keep his true ability a secret, so he tells everyone that he can turn his hand into a cannon like Mion. He thinks that revealing his true ability to the wrong people can lead to his death, and that is a risk he is not willing to take with this bunch. Sawa wants everyone to show their abilities as well, but Akira suddenly asks Madoka if he is feeling fine after the last battle. Sawa gets carried away with the flow and asks Madoka if he lost the previous battle. He tells the Monkey Face to back off and reveals that right after the fight, he was given some treatment, but it was only some bandages and painkillers. Everyone starts talking about how the healthcare here is like America, but Akira is glad that he could prevent showing his abilities. He doesn't even know if it will manifest in front of his allies because it was worded quite weirdly in the letter. That is why he wants to use the team battle to fully experiment with his power. The time for discussion is over, and they soon head out to the second round. Sawa suddenly gets serious and tells them to use any chance they find in the team battle to kill their opponent. He says that they can't trust the enemy to go easy on them as well, so it is best to reduce competition to survive. Soon, they come to the ring for the second round, where they have to fight against the members of the enemy team in one-on-one duels. First up is Sawa versus the redhead OnlyFans model Rin. He is not happy that the second round is not a team battle but an individual battle, and Akira agrees. He realizes that the whole team event ploy was to get them to reveal crucial information to people who may harm them later. Sawa and Rin are in the ring, and as their cuffs are off, Rin immediately requests that Sawa forfeit. She tries to charm him with her sweet words, but he doesn't trust her and thinks that she is hiding something under the loose clothes she is wearing. Rin just takes off the loose cloak to reveal the skimpy outfit she was wearing when she was brought here. She promises to reward Sawa with her body if he lets her win, and though he is tempted, he refuses to take her offer. He acts like his ability is super dangerous, and he doesn't want to use it on a woman. That is why he suggests that they settle the matter with a coin toss. Rin agrees, and Sawa tosses the coin. In the moment his eyes are not on her, she suddenly attacks and pierces his body with sharp blades. Sawa falls to the ground and loses the fight, and no one is able to figure out Rin's ability. The medics come there, but they find that there is no way to save Sawa, so they just plan to dispose of him. Yuri tries to help, but Akira stops her because it is already too late. Madoka calls Sawa useless for letting his guard down at the last moment, and Yuri takes offense to it. Even Shin tells him to take his words back because he cannot insult a comrade who died in the ring. Akira realizes that their team is falling apart, so he intervenes and says that they can sort out their feelings about this matter later. For now, they have to focus on the game. Just then, the next participants are announced. Shin is going to fight against the nerd Ringo, who seems very relaxed and confident as she comes to the arena. Shin plans to quickly throw her out of the arena without harming her to avoid losing like Sawa. He rushes towards her as soon as the cuffs are off, but stops as Ringo raises her hand. He fears that she is going to use her abilities, but she just forfeits, shocking everyone. Ringo's ability is to copy a fraction of the abilities of others, and she tried using it on Shin too, but since she felt no difference, she could not figure out what it was. So she decided to forfeit, knowing that she couldn't win against him. Rin doesn't take this kindly and begins rattling her. because she doesn't want to lose because of her teammate's mistake. Another girl named Siko stops Rin, saying that she will win the next round and turn things back in their favor. Her opponent is Madoka, and as soon as the handcuffs are released, she pulls out a slingshot and shoots a marble at him. She believes that she will easily win now, but Madoka hits away the marble, which suddenly enlarges and turns into a wrecking ball. He then turns his stick into a sword and charges at Siko, who keeps throwing marbles at him, but he dodges them all. She enlarges the last marble before Madoka can deflect it, but he simply slashes it in half this time. The truth is that his ability is not just manifesting a sword, but a sword that can cut anything. Siko is terrified that she has to fight someone with incredible ability and incredible reflexes, but she cannot even forfeit because Rin keeps giving her death stares. Madoka nicely asks her to surrender now, but she is too scared of Rin to do that, so she decides to go all out and toss all the marbles in her pocket at him. Madoka keeps on dodging as the marbles enlarge, but he soon finds himself surrounded on all sides. The girl declares that she will use her last marble to take him down, but Madoka slices it too. However, she was just lying earlier, and she has another marble aimed at him. Before she can shoot, her slingshot is cut, and she falls to the ground. She realizes that Madoka had another hidden knife that he threw at her, but he simply reveals that while he was covered by the giant marble, he broke his stick and turned both parts into separate weapons. He then approaches Siko and asks her to surrender while he is asking nicely, but she just mutters that the fight is not over yet. Madoka suddenly spots the spare marble that left the girl's hand earlier, right under his feet. Before he can react, the marble enlarges and crushes both his marbles. He faints because of the pain, and Siko wins the round. Next up is Akira versus the average Joe from the other team. While Shin and Yuri tell him to win at all costs, he doesn't plan to work too hard for it. He is certain that even if their team loses, they won't be killed, and the penalties they receive won't be so severe. That is why he just plans to gather some information about how exactly his ability works. As soon as the cuffs are off, Akira tries activating the cannon ability based on his teammate's conviction, but it doesn't happen. So he turns around and tells Madoka that he let down the team by losing, so he needs to be punished. Akira is able to activate his cannon ability this time and fires a dummy shot near Madoka, who is irritated by his actions. Akira realizes that his abilities will activate only against the person he is directly engaging with. He activates his cannon hand against his opponent, who fears that he is going to lose. Akira shoots at him, but he unleashes his ability and disperses his shot as well as the cannon on his hand. As the man gets sidetracked by the girls cheering him on, Akira throws a shoe at his face to test out his abilities, and then quickly reaches behind him. He points his cannon at him and tells him to raise his hands. Akira has figured out that he can nullify other people's abilities by touching the ground, but he is close enough to shoot him before he can activate his ability. The man surrenders with that, and Akira walks off the ring, where Madoka is still angry at him. Finally, it is Yuri's turn, and to her utter horror and disgust, her opponent is the stalker who committed double suicide with her in the past. He is glad to meet her here again, but Yuri is raging to beat the shit out of him. The match starts, and the stalker tells Yuri to do whatever she wants to with him because he can harden his entire body. That doesn't make any difference to Yuri, and she punches him with full power. The stalker crashes against the wall and loses the fight instantly. Shin believes that just increasing her strength by 5 times shouldn't lead to that, but Akira tells him that Yuri can increase all her abilities by 5 times, and they can combine together to create monumental results. Just then, Mion comes there and declares that it is now time for their third game, but before that, the losing team will be punished. The agents also come there, and they blindfold everyone and take them to a separate room. As the blindfolds come off, Akira and his team are shocked to see that they are in a fine dining restaurant. Mion tells them that this is their reward for winning, and the losers will have to wear bunny girl costumes and serve them food. Akira and Madoka eat without care, and Rin tries getting close to Akira, but he doesn't want to do anything with a dangerous woman like her. On the other hand, he seems to be getting close to Yuri, and he even ties his handkerchief around her wrist, which got injured after punching the stalker. After they are done eating, Mion tells them about the third program, and both teams are sent their separate ways. Akira and his team are brought to a room, where they are told to separate and follow the paths in front of them. They will receive instructions at the end of the path, which they will have to follow. Madoka and Shin leave first, saying that even though they may be enemies the next time, all of them should survive. Before Yuri can go, Akira tells her that the handkerchief he gave her is really precious to him, so she should definitely survive and return it to him later. She blushes on hearing that and runs away, promising that she will see him later. However, Akira was raising her up on purpose as insurance for the future. Akira takes a path, and at its end, he finds a room with a smartphone. His handcuffs are deactivated, and the system announces that he has 100 points right now, and he has to collect 1,000 points. There is no other explanation beyond this, and then suddenly, the door in front of him opens and leads him outside. There, he learns that he has 30 minutes to knock out as many people in this area as he can, and each victory will grant him 10 points. Akira starts running and searching for targets immediately when, suddenly, a boy jumps in front of him. Akira is ready to fight when the boy suddenly asks him to stop, insisting that he doesn't want to fight. He reveals that he had set up an ambush so that he could recruit him for their team. Before Akira can understand anything, he finds Yuri running towards him and a bunch of perverts following her. She is relieved to see Akira there and takes shelter behind him, and he is still confused as ever. The perverts declare that they want to recruit newbies like them into Team Red, while the boy earlier was trying to get them into Team Green. He knows that Team Red is a notorious bunch, so he decides to buy time for Akira and Yuri to run away. He uses his ability and turns a stick into a bow that can shoot an infinite number of arrows, but the old pervert from the red team has the cannon ability. Yuri is shocked to see this and tells Akira that the man has the same ability as him. Thanks to that, everyone believes that Akira has the ability to use the cannon hand as well, and he manifests it by shooting a warning shot at them. He, along with Yuri and the green boy, start running away, and the red pervert tries shooting him from behind. Akira quickly counters his shot with his own, creating a huge explosion that rattles the area and gives them enough time to run away. The green boy introduces himself as Sato and thanks Akira for saving his life. Akira and Yuri thank him in return and then ask him for the entire business with the red and green teams. He tells them that there are two main factions in the third test. The red team is quite dangerous, and their two top leaders are powerful, smart, and ruthless. Akira thinks that going to the green team will be a better choice, so he follows Sato to the base of the green team. It is a full-fledged settlement, and there is even a newborn baby there, as his mom was brought in for the project when she was 3 months pregnant. Akira is amazed by how things work out here, and he thinks that to maintain peace and unity for so many superpowered people, the leader of the green team must be strong and wise. Sato leads them to their leader, Yudo, who is glad to have 2 new members on their team. He is amazed to learn that Akira has the cannon ability, which is considered an A-rank ability. When he learns that Yuri has the ability to quintuple her physical strength, both Yudo and Sato freak out, because it is an A+ rank ability that can change things in their favor. Akira and Yuri are dumbfounded by their reaction because they are unlike what they thought earlier. Yudo then explains that the objective of the third round is to collect 1,000 points by completing various quests. The points can be used as currency to buy pretty much everything. Many people formed small teams to survive in the third round, but soon, the red team began expanding its number unnaturally and kidnapping other players without obvious reason. He explains that the red team doesn't want to move on to the next test, so they have made this area their kingdom. They exploit the weaker players and use them like slaves, and Yudo formed the green team to counter their tyranny. He explains that there is also the blue team that maintains neutrality, and their members move only for their individual goals. Yudo asks Akira and Yuri to lend him their strengths in fighting against the red team, and Yuri immediately agrees. Akira, however, has other plans. He points his hand at Yudo immediately, freaking everyone out. Yudo, however, is quite calm, and Akira's cannon doesn't manifest immediately. He is shocked and wonders if this is because of Yudo's ability, or if he doesn't truly trust that his ability is canon. Yudo tells Akira that taking him hostage will be a nice option for him, and he dares him to shoot if he can handle what happens next. Akira shoots, but his attack is completely nullified by Yudo, who just smiles and asks if he is satisfied now. Yuri is angry at Akira, but Yudo tells her not to mind it because his ability can allow him to block every attack. He thinks that Akira must have wanted to check if he was capable of leading them, and he asks if he passed. Just then, an old lady enters the room and tells Yudo that they have many new recruits. This is a good thing for the team, but they don't have enough rooms, so Akira suggests letting him and Yuri stay in one room. She is blown away by this, and on top of it, she even finds protection in the room they are supposed to share. She wonders if she is finally going to get laid tonight, and Akira says that he has something he really wants to tell her, which further boosts her hopes. Akira hands him a paper slip, and she believes that it is his confession. However, it reads that his true ability is not the canon but telepathy. Yuri is disappointed, but Akira asks her to try and believe that his ability is telepathy. She tries to accept this sudden revelation, and suddenly, they can communicate mentally with each other. Yuri is really excited by this, but Akira tells her to talk to him only via telepathy now. He wants to tell her something really important and private, but he believes that their room might be bugged on the orders of Yudo. Yuri asks him if he doubts the leader, and Akira replies that Yudo is a very capable leader, so it is natural for him to keep a close eye on strong newbies like him. He then finally reveals that his real ability is whatever the other person thinks. Yuri can't seem to process it when suddenly their phones ring with a video message from Mion. She declares that they will have a grand quest to hunt ghouls tomorrow, and they should use it to get as many points as they can. Akira then makes an agreement with Yuri, asking her to keep thinking that his ability is telepathy so that they can stay connected and use other abilities. When he wants to use the canon ability, he will switch his targeted other person to someone else. The next morning, Yudo assembles everyone and tells them about the quest. They soon reach the ruins, where Mion is waiting for them with the ghouls. Akira is shocked to see the ghouls that look exactly like the mummy bastard that attacked him. Mion declares that each ghoul killed will earn 30 points, and it is forbidden to use their abilities on other participants. With that, she starts the quest, and the ghouls leap at the players. Tanks like Yudo block their attacks, while the offensive players take down the ghouls easily. Akira also activates his cannon abilities, using people from the team to activate it, and shoots down the ghouls. Just then, the red team leader, Ikai, and the vice leader, Kuro, arrive there. They do not plan to take part in the ghoul hunting event, but they still want to defeat the green team. Everyone in the green team retreats as soon as they see them, because Yudo wants to hide their abilities from them. However, the vicious leaders of Team Red have other plans. The vice leader Kuro has the ability called Loan Shark that allows him to forcibly collect debt from people who owe him anything. Using that debt, he sends a bunch of weaklings to face the ghouls, and many of them end up dying. Ringo is also among the victims, but Yuri and Akira save her from being killed by a ghoul. They tell Yudo that they should rescue the others too, and he agrees with them. He commands everyone to save the victims, but then Mion decides to add a fun little twist to the game. She snaps her fingers and releases the boss monster from the ruins, which grabs and kills one of the ghouls as it comes out. Kuro sends some of the victims towards the boss, and one tanker from the green team rushes forward to save them. He is hit away by the boss, and then Akira shoots at the boss before getting hit himself. Yudo comes to save him and tells him to run away and rescue other people while he deals with the boss. He knows that using his power will mean that they will lose the biggest trump card they have against the red team, but there seems to be no other choice. The boss attacks him, and Yudo activates his ability, Mediator, that allows him to conduct peaceful negotiations with the other party. Using this ability, he can nullify all the damage from the boss, and then he ends his negotiations and reflects all the damage accumulated earlier on the boss, blasting a hole through it. He injures his hand in doing that, and Kuro analyzes his ability too. The green team, however, is overjoyed by their leader's achievement, and they run towards him to celebrate the victory. However, Mion tells them that the game is not over yet. The defeated boss monster starts eating other ghouls, and the wound in his belly is instantly filled. The boss monster gets up, and Yudo tells his team members to forget about him and run away. However, Yuri doesn't want to abandon him, so she runs towards him despite everyone stopping her. She helps Yudo by kicking away the boss monster, but it attacks them again. She grabs the leader and jumps to the side, but now they are defenseless. Just then, Akira fires at the boss monster to save them. Mion is amused to see this, and Akira silently swears to clear the game and have a rematch with her. Yudo starts scolding the two youngsters for being so reckless, but Akira asks him to leave everything to them. He and Yuri keep attacking the boss monster from both sides as they talk via telepathy, but their attacks do no damage. Akira suddenly comes up with an idea, and he leads the boss monster to the ruins, where he can stay out of everyone's sight. Just as he gets there, he gives Yuri the cue to do her part. The boss monster hits him, and everyone thinks that he died. However, when the dust clears, Akira is perfectly fine, and he shoots his cannon inside the boss monster's mouth, blowing its head. Yuri is really glad that he survived, so she hugs him, but then suddenly, the boss monster starts getting up again. They are both nervous now, but then suddenly, the leader of the red team, Ikai, comes there and tears away the head of the boss monster with a single person. He remarks that Akira and Yuri are an entertaining pair and begins laughing. Yuri is furious that he has the audacity to laugh after letting so many people die. She attacks him, but he simply blocks her kick and slams her to the ground. Akira and Yudo come to back her up, but before anyone can take another step forward, Mion fires a warning shot. She comes in between them, declaring that this quest is still not over and they are not allowed to fight each other. However, she is also excited about the idea of letting the green and red teams fight to their heart's content, so she suggests that they have a special quest exclusively for both teams. She says that it will be a team event, where both teams have to hunt down the leader of the enemies by stealing their device and syncing it with their own. Ikai likes the idea and asks Kuro what he wants. Kuro says that if they are going to fight an all-out war, he wants the reward to be great too. He wants everyone on the green team to die if the red team wins, and Mion likes the idea. Yuto tries to protest, saying that it is unfair, but Mion doesn't listen to his words. She declares that the special game of Hunt the King will take place 7 days from now when everyone from both teams is in fighting condition. Akira and others retreat to the green team's base, and the injured are given immediate treatment. After getting patched up, Yuto calls Akira to his office, where he asks him about his real ability. He certainly saw him getting hit by the boss monster earlier and wants to know how he survived. Akira tells him that his ability is not the canon, but he refuses to reveal any more of his secrets. However, he promises that he will use his ability to crush the red team. Outside, one of the girls goes to collect firewood, but she runs into a member of the red team. Luckily, Shin arrives there to save her, and the girl leads him back to the base. Everyone is on their edge as they see the powerful-looking guy enter the base, but Akira and Yuri recognize him and assure everyone that Shin is a good guy. Yuto also comes out to welcome him, when suddenly Mion makes an announcement for everyone to hear. She tells them about the quest in 7 days that will decide which team will survive and which will die. Yuto tells everyone that while the quest poses great risk, it is also a great chance to get rid of the red team and turn things around like they were supposed to. However, Akira believes that the most dangerous person in the red team is Kuro, who managed to manipulate Mion into agreeing to his conditions to kill everyone. As he heads to his room, thinking about this, the nerdy girl Ringo approaches him. Turns out that she is an avid gamer herself too, and a great fan of Akira, who has beaten her a lot in her favorite game. She thanks Akira for saving her earlier and then gets flustered as she tries talking about his ability. She was planning to do it tactfully, but she got too nervous and ended up blurting out that she knew his real ability. Akira is shocked to hear that and immediately pulls her into the room, right as Yuri arrives there. Inside the room, he pins Ringo against the wall and asks her to elaborate. She meekly tells him about her ability, which lets her copy the ability of another person to its 10th value, and in doing so, she can find out what their abilities are. She tells Akira that, just like him, her ability also requires a partner, and she wants him to be her partner. Akira asks her, since she was a slave of the red team, does she know about their abilities too? Ringo just gives him a confident smile, and he feels that he has found the ultimate weapon. She soon leaves the room with that, and meets Yuri on the way. The next day, Akira visits Yuri, who is staying in another room now. He wants her to come with him to see the blue team, but leaves before she can give a response. She plans to go with him, but before that, she wants to know what is going on between him and Rindo. On the other hand, Kuro has started preparing for the upcoming quest by summoning the most powerful members of the red team. Rin has also joined them, and the other members are just as powerful and crazy as her. Kuro's assistant also brings one of the slaves who was returned by the green team to him. The slave reveals that he was let out of the green team's base by the red team's spy, and he also sent a message to Kuro. The spy claimed to have seen Akira get hit by the boss monster, making him believe that his ability is not a cannon but something else. Kuro believes this information, and he immediately goes to Ikai, who has been sparring with some ghouls. He tells the boss that in the upcoming battle, the one they have to be most careful about is Akira. Meanwhile, Akira and Yuri are heading towards the blue team's base when he suddenly asks her to help him use her abilities. She tries to believe that he has the same ability as her, but it proves to be much more difficult to control than he expected. Akira can't even walk after having all his physical abilities multiplied by 5, saying that it is like placing a cab driver in an F1 car. As for Yuri, he believes that she is a genius who can use her abilities naturally. Earlier, when he was fighting against the boss monster, he made Yuri imagine that he had teleportation abilities. Even though it worked out, it was just a gamble, and Akira doesn't plan to take such risks now. That is why he wants to research which abilities he can use properly. First, Akira wants to see if he can use the ability to transform into others. Yuri finds it hard to imagine, so he hides behind a tree and asks her to think of someone so that he can transform. Yuri focuses, and when Akira comes out of hiding, he has turned into Ringo. Akira realizes that Yuri needs to visualize the target for transformation clearly so that he can use this power. After that, Akira asks her if she chose Ringo as her target because she saw her leaving his room yesterday. He decides to come clean with her. He tells Yuri that Ringo figured out his ability, and she wants to work with him. She asked him to reveal this to Yuri as insurance, but to keep her abilities hidden. Akira claims that even though Ringo appears to be on their side, he cannot trust her fully. He claims that he only trusts Yuri and wants her opinion about Ringo when they meet later. Soon, they reach the blue team, which Madoka has joined. The lazy leader of the blue team, Amoto, asks them what they are here for, and Akira tells them about the battle quest between the green and red teams. He is here to hire the members of the blue team as mercenaries in exchange for points. Amoto says that the offer is nice, but he doesn't want to pass it on to his team members. He tells Akira that if he wants him to tell the members about the mercenary jobs, he should let him have Yuri because she is just his type. Akira immediately declines, saying that Yuri is worth more than 20 ordinary people. He tells Amoto that if he wants to truly match Yuri's value, he should join his team and do just as he says. Amoto is impressed by his determination and agrees to inform his members about the offer, but he declines to join the battle personally because he is confident that the green team will lose. He leaves with that, and then Madoka comes forth to tell Akira that he is joining the red team. He wants to become his biggest rival and defeat him by joining the red team, but that doesn't bother Akira, who tells him to do his best and leaves. They return to their base and keep preparing for the battle. Soon, the fateful day arrives, and the green team goes to the location of the quest, which is the 5 towers in the forest. Akira and Yuri had already scouted the area and guessed that this was going to be their destination, and Yuto thanked him for that. The agent with them tells them that the rules will be explained through the devices. Mion pops up on everyone's screen and tells them that they have to steal the devices of their enemies. Once the devices are 3 meters away from the user, their handcuffs will be activated and their powers will be sealed. For each captured player, they will get 1 point, and by placing their devices in the special zones on each tower, they will obtain 10 points. Those points can be used to make Mion do their bidding. It ranges from making an announcement for 1 point to sealing an opponent's ability for 50 points. The game ends when the device of the enemy leader is stolen. The agent then asks the green team to register their leader, and Yuto pushes some buttons on his device. With that, the battle quest starts. Yuto tells everyone to capture 3 out of 5 towers and protect them at all costs so that they can seal their enemy's ability. Everyone spreads out, and Sato's team manages to capture the first tower. Another group goes to capture the second tower, but Ikai is also there, and he single-handedly takes them all down. The leader of the group is on call with others, so she hopes to stall Ikai here till their main damage dealers arrive. She pulls out her huge sword and begins swinging it at him, but he has no issue dodging her attack. She is getting tired, and then Ikai grabs her sword, telling her to put more force into it. The woman was waiting for that chance, and she activated her true ability, which is to manipulate the weight of her sword. Ikai is pushed down under the weight of the sword, so he just shatters it and then kicks the woman away. She takes severe damage from his powerful kick, but Ikai tells her that he is impressed by her power. Her sword has turned into a stick, and he gives it back to her and asks her to play with him till her teammates arrive. On the other hand, the funky old man from Team Red is burning and killing people just by touching them. The blue-haired girl commands some drones to shoot the green team members, and the old blind samurai slashes everyone in his way. Shin is facing Kuro's assistant, and lastly, Akira is facing Rin. However, she is not here to fight against him, but to make a trade with him that they previously agreed on. They complete the trade, and then Rin tries to make a move on Akira, but he is still on guard against her and runs away. Just as he is out of sight, Rin contacts someone and tells him Akira's location. In another place, Shin learns that Kuro's assistant has killed the other members of his team, so he grabs his throat. However, the assistant uses his power to shrink his handcuff and forces him to retreat. He then points out that he has a steel thread tied around his wrist, and he activates his power to shrink the thread, cutting off his arm. Despite that, Shin believes that the battle is not over yet and closes his wound with his bandana. Back at Ikai's location, he is disappointed that no one is coming to rescue the heavy sword woman. He is about to finish her when suddenly, Yuri arrives there, kicking him away and rescuing the woman. Ikai laughs, saying that someone interesting came to fight him after all. Yuri lays the woman to the side and then rushes at Ikai, who blocks her attacks, but then she uses her superior mobility to get away from him after landing a few hits. This was the plan Akira came up with because he guessed that Ikai also has the same ability as her, so she can't beat him with strength. Ikai decides to stop her from using the hit and run tactic by grabbing her hand. But Akira has already told Yuri what to do in that case. She knees the giant brute in the face and then launches a barrage of powerful punches that knock him to the ground. However, he gets up, ready to fight again. On the other hand, Kuro believes that his spy will make his move soon and backstab Yuto. However, thanks to Ringo's abilities, they were able to isolate and catch the spy before he could do anything. Apparently, Akira had asked her to find out if any rescued slave from the Red Team was lying about their abilities, and that is how she found out the spy. Ringo manages to convince the spy that they won't lose, and he agrees to talk to her after drinking some water. However, when Ringo returns with water, she finds that the spy is already dead, which can only mean that there is a second spy. Neither Ringo nor Yuto realize that the second spy is the old lady, and she is the one who killed the man just now. On the other hand, Akira is running towards Kuro to defeat the brains behind the Red Team. Earlier, he didn't want Yuri to go and rescue the sword woman, but she didn't listen to him because she felt that he didn't consider her a partner but a tool. That is why he is alone now. Suddenly some knives come flying in his direction, and he dodges them to find that Madoka is here for their match. Akira activates the cannon and shoots at a tree behind him, but Madoka cuts the falling tree, uses the scraps of wood from it as knives, and throws them at Akira. Akira tries to play mind games against Madoka, but then suddenly, the blind samurai from Team Red attacks him. Thanks to Madoka's warning, Akira dodges the first attack. The blind samurai is about to attack him, but Madoka throws some daggers at him. He then calls a truce with Akira and says that they should deal with the samurai who is interfering with their duel first. However, this was all according to Akira's plan. He had asked Rin to call the samurai to his location and called Madoka at the same time, hoping to use the dumb delinquent as his partner in the absence of Yuri. They think that the samurai has the same ability as Madoka because his daggers, which can cut anything, couldn't cut through his sword earlier. However, as the samurai swings his sword and releases an aerial slash that cuts the trees behind them, both of them are forced to rethink their strategy. He launches another aerial slash, and they barely block it before Akira shoots up some dust to escape. Madoka is confused about his ability now, but Akira has learned from Ringo that the samurai definitely has the same ability. He wonders what the secret behind the aerial slashes is, but Madoka doesn't care and asks Akira to back him up. He soon launches a surprise attack on the blind samurai, who manages to block it. They both exchange blows next, and the samurai manages to disarm him. Using this chance, Akira tries firing his cannon through the trees and at the samurai, but he injures him with an aerial slash. The samurai is sure about his victory now, but Akira tells Madoka to use the splinters. The samurai also reacts to this, but not before Madoka, who kicks some splinters in his direction after turning them into knives. The samurai takes some serious damage and dies because of a knife that pierces his head. On another side, the blue-haired girl has managed to gun down everyone, but the nun twists the neck of a doll and throws it at her before dying. The doll hits the girl's leg, and suddenly, her neck twists 180 degrees and she falls to the ground. However, she simply gets back up and rearranges her head. She is about to mutilate the nun's corpse when Rin suddenly appears at the location and asks her what her true ability is. The girl is furious and declares that she will kill him because she didn't like her from the start. She declares that she will put all the blame on the green team, and Rin replies that she was thinking the same thing. She licks her hand and turns it into a blade, but the blue-haired girl doesn't think that she is dangerous. She attacks Rin, who blocks it by sprouting blades from her knee. The girl switches to a ranged attack, and her drones manage to injure Rin. However, she was just waiting for this. She sprays some blood drops towards the blue-haired girl, and they turn into blades midway, destroying her drones. With the next attack, Rin severely wounds the girl, who still attacks her. Her knife gets stuck in the tree, and then Rin uses her blood to tie her there as she begins heading deeper into the forest. The girl commands her tank drones to attack her, but Rin destroys them too. She finds a girl carrying a box in the forest and stabs the box to kill the real ability user who was controlling the blue-haired girl. The girl carrying him is just a slave whose ability is to make real-looking toys. She is confused by Rin's betrayal, and Rin tells her that she made a deal with the green team that she would be counted as their spy in case they win. This way, she will survive, no matter which team wins. Rin then decides to kill the girl as well and clears the last trace of evidence against her. On the other side, Shin is still struggling with the assistant, who uses his ability to shrink the distance between things. Using that ability and the steel wires he has laid out everywhere, he manages to chop off a portion of Shin's foot. Even after taking that much damage, he sticks to his beliefs and refuses to use the ability that was given to him without his consent. However, with the next move, the assistant shrinks the distance between them and appears behind him, placing a lasso made from the steel fibers around his neck. He is about to kill him when suddenly, the girl Shin saved earlier comes flying to him. She knocks down the assistant, who decides to finish her first. Shin rushes to save her and gets hit in the chest by the knife. Just at that moment, he recalls his past. He was a sickly boy, and his big brother was a reputed pro wrestler. One day, they met with an accident, and his big brother died, and his organs were used to fix Shin's body. Shin suddenly sees the illusion of his elder brother in his pro wrestling costume, who tells him to use his ability now because he has something to protect. So Shin does just that and activates his ability, which makes him invincible for 2 seconds. He is dressed in full body armor that easily shatters the steel fiber. He then rushes towards the assistant and gives him the chokeslam of his life, knocking him out. His invincibility comes undone, and he swears to use his ability and make the people running this program regret bringing him here. In another location, Sato is fighting the old man with the power to destroy everything he touches. He has taken severe damage, and his arrows just rot away as the old man touches them. Despite that, he is willing to sacrifice himself for his team. Just then, Akira appears next to him to back him up. Sato tells him to back up Yuri and kill the enemy leader. Akira looks at his condition and tells him to rush to the site and save the sword lady he has a crush on while he deals with the old fart here. Sato swears to save his crush and runs away, and Akira gets some alone time with his enemy. He throws a rock at him, but the old man simply destroys it. However, Akira manages to figure out that he did so by causing a chemical reaction with his touch. The old-timer is impressed by his deductive abilities, but he also knows that Akira has multiple abilities because Kuro told him so. He believes that Akira can't use the cannon right now, so he decides to deal with him immediately, but Akira quickly runs away. He reaches behind a tree and pulls the sword from the blind samurai. In the rush of the moment, the old man believes that Akira killed the samurai and stole his abilities, so he panics, giving Akira exactly what he wants. He copies the samurai's flying slash that injures the old man, and Akira takes his device and rules him out of the game. The old man asks him what his true ability is, and instead of giving the answer, Akira tells him that he let the fact that cannon is not his real ability slip out. He did that on purpose to spread ambiguity and take control of things. Back at the Green Team's base, the search for the real spy is on, and seeing how the first spy was killed with a knife, Ringo suspects the old lady who is skilled with it. She tries getting rid of the feeling because the old lady has been with this team for a long time, but then decides to find out her ability. However, the old lady has already made her move. She tries attacking Yudo using her real ability, which is using a cannon, but Yudo was ready for it. He blocks it, saying that he always knew that the woman was a spy. Ringo and another guy also come there, but Yudo asks them to stay away. He asks the old lady why she is doing this, and she tells him that Ikai and Kuro are the children from her orphanage. She could not protect them in the past, but she is ready to do everything for them now. She suddenly pulls out the son of the heavy sword lady and points her cannon at him, asking Yudo to throw away his device and deactivate his ability if he wants the boy to survive. He accepts her demand and throws away his device, and the woman fatally injures him. She begins walking away with the boy and calls Kuro to tell him that she has killed the enemy leader, but Mion tells him that the game is not over yet because Yudo was not the leader. Just then, Akira comes there, and Kuro realizes that he might be the true leader of the group. On the other hand, Ringo decides to confront the backstabbing old woman and rescue the boy from her, but she keeps her on the defensive using her cannon ability. She is terrified, but then she recalls how Akira told her to trust in her abilities and try copying the enemy's powers. Ringo decides to believe in his words and decides to confront the woman. She copies her ability and manifests a cannon in her hand. It only has 1/10 of the real deal's power, but its fire rate is also increased by 10 times. Ringo is more confident now, and she tells the woman to keep the boy aside so that he is not harmed in their fight. The woman agrees, and they begin shooting at each other. In terms of power, they are equally equal, but Ringo has learnt shooting from stormtroopers, and the only thing she can hit is the rocks. The woman sneaks behind her and casts her down. Ringo can't bring herself to shoot her, so the woman climbs on top of her and pummels her senseless before asking the identity of the real leader. Ringo refuses to tell her, and then she cries, saying that she will never let a horrible person like her take the boy at any cost. She shoots the rocks behind her, and they crumble down. Ringo says that she decided to kill the boy rather than let him go with an evil person, and the old woman freaks out. She begins reaching for the boy in the rubble but doesn't find him there. It turns out that Ringo tricked her, and using this chance, she safely gets the boy into her custody. She tells the woman to throw her device away and surrender, because she will really shoot her this time. The woman does that, but as Ringo is picking up the device, she grabs a rock and tries to kill her. Ringo notices that and shoots the cliff behind her, causing the rocks to crush the old lady. Meanwhile, Yuri and Ikai are constantly fighting when a sudden backup arrives in the form of Madoka and Shin. They reveal that Akira told them to back her up, while he was dealing with Kuro right now. Ikai laughs at their plan and says that they seem to have underestimated him and Kuro as well. On the other location, Kuro calls his slaves and surrounds Akira, saying that no matter what his ability is, he will kill him. Akira decides to attack first and uses his cannon to shoot at Kuro, but it is blocked by the giant marbles of Siko, who is Kuro's slave right now. Next, he commands another slave, who turns the giant marble into smaller bricks and hits Akira with them. Akira tries to shoot a warning shot to scare them, but since they are under the effect of Kuro's ability, Lone Shark, they can't disobey him. Kuro declares that he has always had everything under control, and Akira asks him if this is what he means when he calls this place his kingdom. Kuro stops for a moment on hearing that and engages Akira in a pointless chatter. He tells Akira that he might think that he took him by surprise, but it was the other way around. When he talked about the kingdom, Kuro stopped the slaves from moving, and Akira felt relieved in that moment for once. That is registered as the debt he owes Kuro, and now he is also marked as his slave. As his repayment, he ties Akira's right leg down and sends his slaves towards him. Akira is forced to use what everyone thinks is his second ability, and he teleports behind Kuro to attack him. However, Kuro has placed his slaves there already, and they apprehend him. Kuro stabs Akira, telling him that everything went according to his plan. However, Akira says that it is just what he thinks. He confidently declares that he convinced Kuro that his plan was working well, while in reality, he is the one who fell into his trap, because right now he is directly in front of him. These words trick Kuro into believing that Akira can use Yudo's ability too, but he still attacks him based on instinct. Akira uses Yudo's ability to nullify his attack and then reflects the damage back on him before he can command his slaves to do anything. Kuro is blown away, and as a result, the slave mark on all the people vanishes. They rejoice, and then Akira gets up, revealing that he was never injured. He just used some meat and books to absorb the damage from Kuro's first attack. Kuro still can't believe that he lost, and Akira tells him that he had planned out everything right from the start. A few days ago, Shin captured the first spy from the Red Team while he was escaping. He told Akira about it, who saw a great chance in this situation. Using Yuri's help, he transformed into a spy and ran to the base of Team Red. He fed Kuro the information that made him think just like he wanted, and using that chance, he also figured out his abilities. Akira tells Kuro that he was in the palm of his hand all this while, and the mastermind accepts his defeat. He gives his device to Akira, saying that they may have won this battle, but they won't be able to defeat Ikai no matter what. Akira quickly takes his device and runs away, but Kuro has another. On the other hand, Yuri, Shin, and Madoka are fighting as a coordinated unit, and they have managed to injure Ikai and push him back. However, that flips his switch, and he unleashes the power he had been hiding before. He quickly attacks Madoka, twisting his arm before knocking him away. He then knocks away Yuri and even brings down Shin after his invincibility wears off. Yuri still gets up to fight him despite a broken arm, and Ikai decides to tell her his origin story. He cries, saying that ever since he was little, he has been told that he is not a human but an animal. He recalls his past and how he lived in an orphanage where the old spy lady worked. Kuro was his only friend there, who liked to read a book about insects forming their kingdom. The headmaster of the orphanage was a two-faced villain who tormented and punished them while acting nice whenever the authorities came to check up on them. He called them insects and animals and stomped on the book Kuro used to read. That was what snapped the final straw for him, and the enraged Ikai lost all his reason as his power suddenly surged. He grabbed an ashtray and pummeled the headmaster to death, which was the beginning of a life of crime. After that, he teamed up with his friend to create the kingdom of his dream. Yuri says that she is sorry that he had to suffer, but she will defeat him and return home to ensure that her stepsister doesn't. She charges at him headfirst, and Ikai rushes at her too, their fists colliding in mid-air. Yuri's bones crack, but she used the same arm that was broken earlier. Because of her punch, Ikai also suffers a critical fracture, but in his enraged state, he feels no pain. He keeps punching Yuri, but she doesn't budge. Ikai wonders what the hell is wrong with her and asks if she is not hurting at all. Yuri yells that she is hurting like hell, and to tell the truth, he must be in a lot of pain too. She imagines her past self and his past self together, as both of them have suffered at the hands of abusive adults. She tells him that it is a lie when he says that he doesn't feel any pain, and he just uses the excuse to run away from reality. She strikes him back, and Ikai finally feels pain. Yuri apologizes that she can't save him now, but she wants to finish things for him nicely. She punches his chest with her full power, but suddenly, her ability stops working. She is confused, and Ikai uses this chance to hit her away. Her device falls out, and Mion speaks through it, saying that the red team has used 50 points to seal away Yuri's abilities. It was Kuro who did it. Earlier, he released his control over the slaves on purpose and made Akira run away to help his friends quickly to hide the fact that he didn't give him his real device. Using that, he managed to fill a fast one on Akira one last time before dying. Back at Yuri's location, Ikai is about to finish her when suddenly he hears an announcement from Akira, which he made using the points. He tells Ikai not to kill Yuri or others, because then he would kill Kuro and vanish. Akira reveals that he is the leader of the green team, and if he agrees to his conditions, they can meet to fight one-on-one right now. However, Ikai has already realized that Kuro is dead by now, and he sealed Yuri's ability as the last thing he did. He still wants to fight Akira head-on to avenge his friend, so he accepts his challenge. Akira tells him to let him talk to Yuri to prove that she is still alive, and Kuro slaps her awake. Akira tells Yuri not to worry because he is coming to take her place, and then rushes to her side. He faces Ikai head-on, who wants nothing more than revenge for his friend. He charges at Akira with his full strength, but Akira just stands there, waiting for him to get close. He dodges Ikai's punch at the last moment, and then unleashes the final ability he has saved for this occasion using Yuri's help. Earlier, when they were practicing to use other abilities, Akira kept trying to use Yuri's ability to quintuple his physical strength. He could not do it properly, so he decided to focus on only a simple punching motion with that ability, which he would use as his trump card. So now he uses that trump card and increases all his abilities by 5 times to land a devastating counter blow to Ikai, who is knocked away by it. Akira also collapses after that, and then, to his horror, Ikai gets up once again, but just to tell him good game, and then falls dead. The game ends with that, and the agents arrive there to applaud Akira. Mion announces that the battle quest has ended with Team Green's victory, and everyone celebrates. Akira goes towards Yuri, and they give each other a long-distance fist bump. He apologizes to her, and she tells him that it is all right. Just then, Mion arrives there and tells Akira that there is one last thing he must do as the winner of this quest. In the meantime, the agents carry Yuri and others away in stretchers, and Mion tells Akira that he will see them again after his role as the king is done. Akira goes to wash his face in a stream after that, where Omoto comes to congratulate him on the victory. He says that he saw everything and found Akira's ability interesting. Akira is taken aback by hearing this and wonders what his abilities and intentions are. Omoto decides to show it to him, and as he lifts his arm, Akira thinks that he can use the cannon too. Omoto does exactly that, and he fires a warning shot at him. However, he has no plans to kill Akira. He declares that he doesn't want to do anything with the program, as his only goal is to kill Mion with his own hands. He asks Akira to help him with that or die at his hands later. He knows Mion is watching this too, so he declares that he is going to become active now and leaves the place, telling Akira to meet him in the 4th round. Akira passes out on the floor after that, and when he wakes up, he finds himself living an ordinary life again. However, there is something different this time. He and Yuri meet in the outside world, and she rushes to hug him as soon as she sees him. Madoka, Ringo, Shin, and Rin are also in the outside world, and they have 2 green bands on their wrists to constantly remind them that they are still in the 4th stage of the project. Akira thinks that nothing has changed, but at least he has a girlfriend now, so he counts that as a win. However, Mion is also in the outside world, keeping an eye on him and waiting for her chance to drag everyone into the project once again.